Okay, this second video with constructions, we are going to try to copy an angle. So we're going to try to take this angle right here and copy it over to this segment that we've started over on the right side of your screen. This first angle, if you look at it, is an acute angle. It has two sides, so if we continue this on, this is one side of your angle, this would be the other side or leg of your angle. And the measure in between here makes up the angle. So if we call this angle A, we want to create angle B over here such that the measure of angle B is the same as the measure of angle A. Now you could, I'm sure you're thinking, I'll use my protractor and I'll measure the angle A, then go over to B and measure that. You can do that, but what we're trying to do is use our compass and just a straight edge, so it could be a protractor, or in this case I'll just use a ruler. You can use these items right here to create that. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your compass and you're going to create some sort of distance here with your compass. It doesn't matter what the distance is, but you want some distance that you can keep track of. And the reason, well, I'll make it a little bigger here for the sake of the picture. You want your compass to intersect both sides of your angle here. So you've got a fixed length. This length right here represents the radius of a circle. So you're creating basically a quarter of a circle. So this distance here is the same as this distance here. We have radial distances that are the same. From A to both of these points of intersection are the same. Now in order to copy this angle, you need to do that exact same thing. So don't change your compass length. Notice how if I put it back down, my compass length is the exact same. Take this length, move it over to B. Now draw an arc through that area as well. So you're creating pretty much the same exact thing. You're copying the same thing from this section over to that section. Now the next thing you're going to want to do is figure out what is the distance between these 2 points of intersection here. What is the distance from here to here? You may be thinking, oh, I'll get out my ruler and I'll measure it. But no, we want to use the compass. And the compass, again, is a way to measure length. So if you take the point of your compass, put it on one of the intersection points, and then match it or move your lead so that it matches where that other intersection point is. Notice how I'm drawing a little arc here to show that that indeed is where they meet. This is going to be the length between this point of intersection and this point of intersection. So we've got our length matched out with our compass. Now take your compass here, move it over to your other line, and your vertex or your center of this new circle is where this arc intersects the base of your angle. So where the arc intersects the base of this angle is going to be right here. That's going to be the center of your new circle, so to speak. Now that point where this arc intersects your previous arc is going to be the point that's going to help make up the other side of your angle. So it intersects at that point, match up point B with that point, draw a line straight through there. This value that we created over here should be the exact same measure as the one we created here, and this is the reason why. The first thing we did, we used an arc and we showed that these two segments are congruent to each other. Second, we drew, if you think of this as a line there, we've got a segment right here. This segment over here is going to be the same length as this one here because this arc length were the same, so our radial distance is the same. Then we essentially created this same length to being the same here. So we said, alright, the distance from here to here is going to be the same as the distance from there to there. That's the second step when we made this second arc. Now if that's true, this point of intersection, this segment that connects these 2 points of intersection are going to be the same. And now we know that this distance is going to be the same as our original first distance because that's the distance from a center to the point on the circle. That's a radial distance or a radius that's the same. So what we've done here is we've created two congruent triangles. And you should know that the corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. This angle is a corresponding part with this angle, which means our two angles are indeed congruent. So you can use this to copy angles. Now, let's say, for instance, we're asked to apply this to some other scenario. Let's say we have a triangle, and they're asking us, the book or whoever, quiz or test, is asking us to copy this triangle using a compass and a straight edge. So now we have 3 different angles, A, B, and C, and we want to create a new triangle somewhere over here. I'm going to say this is going to be my starting point. I'm going to call it A prime, B prime, and C prime. So, using construction 1, let's make our base AC here. So, in order to figure out what the length of AC is going to be, use your compass to measure out that distance, AC. So, figure out where the end of that segment is. That's going to be your distance from A to C. Pick your compass up, move it over here. Now right here where that arc and this line intersect, that's going to be the point where your C prime is. So if this is A prime, this here is going to be your new C value, or we'll call it C prime. So we have our base segments created that are exactly identical. Now the next thing we want to do is copy this angle and move it over here. So let's copy this angle and move it over. And this is exactly what we did with this construction, so I'm going to move through it a little more quickly. I'm going to use my compass to use an arc to strike an arc on the 2 sides of my angle A. I'm going to go over to A prime and do the same thing over there. Second, I'm going to figure out what is the distance between these 2 intersection points. So that arc that intersected both sides of my angle, this is about the distance there. Move that over here. Do the same thing over there. Figure out where that point of intersection is. Now I'm going to use that to make my angle A. So I'm drawing a line through that point in A. So I've got segment AC, and A prime, C prime being exactly the same. And now what I'm going to do is figure out what is the distance from A to B. Because when I figure out the distance from A to B, that should help me figure out the distance, or should allow me to figure out the distance between A prime and B prime. So you're going over here, doing the same thing over here. So this is really all you're going to have to do, because once you know all 3 points of your new triangle, you can just take this, connect your dots with B prime and C prime, and you've got 2 identical triangles here. And the reason we know it's identical is we have congruent angles, we have congruent sides. That's the first thing we did. We did the sides, now we're showing the angles, and if we show that we have congruent sides over here, we now have side, angle, side. So with side, angle, side, we can show that we have 2 congruent triangles.